If we want to collect and if you want to pass data from the website, and then after when we are scraping the data and we want to ready some database, we want to fetch out and want to scrap the data, so I type here. Now you can click on the this first link, and there are so many data. Now I want to scrap the data, all the job names and description and the date, all of them. So how I can scrap the data from this website? This one. So firstly, I copy this link and to start the code in Python, import request. So request is again the library in Python to scrap the data. So if you want to scrap the data, so we can use this package. And again, we can use the BS4, and we are just importing the beautiful shop. So beautiful shop, again it is just the library in Python during the web scraping to give the proper full structure. So now the question is that if we want to scrap the data from the website, so we need some library, beautiful shop. So you can also test them. This library are available, yes. And now I want to ready some URL like URL, and to paste them those link I have copied. The real file. And now I want to request them. You can type here the page. With the help of request, we can get the URL. If you fetch the data directly, so we need to traverse with the help of HTML. So what is HTML? Like I can write here the shop and beautiful shop, again the library, and again the URL, like store into the page dot content, so the page, that is the URL, in the HTML parse. And we can print the data like shop prettify. If we want to directly print the data, so you can see it will fetch the data completely here. But if the data is not into this HTML structure, so you can pass here prettify. So it will provide this data, but you can print if the data is not into the proper manner. Now you can see I have successfully fetched the data from this website the old source code where you can click on the view page. This code I have successfully. Now inside this you can see there are so many job descriptions are there. So many descriptions are there. So now the question is that how we can extract data from this meaningful those data I have scrapped here. So now firstly we have to identify the ID. So the ID I want to discuss like the result container. It is just the CSS ID and the class we know very well into the HTML. And I'm just typing here result and swap.find. So I want to fetch out all the data of this specific ID because this ID is repeated in all the most of the target. And I want to print them. Again, you can use the prettify if the result is not on the proper manner. You can see I have successfully scrapped the data, only the result container. Here the data is completely from the starting, this data set, but I want to fetch out data from there because it contain only the meaningful data and the about tag is not the information part. All the information about this div tag. So due to this reason, I have fetch out only the information based data from this website. And now again inside this one I want to fetch out again the data like card content. So I want to fetch out the data like the class this card content. And now again to type any like job element or the job you can fetch like CSS element and the result is there which I have stored all the information and result dot find all and I want to find all the data from the div tag. So div is a container to contain the data because there are so many div. What div you want to fetch out? The class name, card content. And now we can print the job element. You can see I have successfully fetched all the data from this card element. Inside this card element, you can see there are job title, senior Python developer, and the subtitle. So now the question is that when I successfully fetch this data, so I want to fetch out the heading, H2 and the title. Like inside this data, I have the heading H2 and the title of the job, and the heading and the company name. Like the heading, inside we have the class title, and heading 3 we have class like the company, and the paragraph I want to fetch out the location. So three things I want to fetch out, like the job name, job subtitle, and the location of the company. So I want to fetch out from all the data. So now this time we have to run the loop basically to fetch out and to iterate all the data. Let's see one by one. So we can write any data like job element. So we can fetch out the job ELET. Inside this, there are so many information. So firstly, I want to fetch out the title element. So the job to find. Find again the command and to pass the tag name heading. H2. And inside the heading, the class name, title. And the similar we can type like company. And the job dot find and the company here inside the H3. And to pass the class name again the company. And I want to fetch out the location like job dot find again and the location inside the heading 3, not the heading 3, the paragraph. Inside the paragraph, the class location. So I have successfully write this one. Now I want to print all the data one by one. So title ET, it is the indentation basically. Company ET, and location ET. So now you can see inside this data set, I have fetched only the three things. First one this, second one this, and third one this. you can see I have only the this data H2, H3 and paragraph. So I am fetching the data and I am just sorting out the data one by one according to this one. And now if I want to strip all the data, so again I can copy them. There are so many jobs are there. You can see. And one more thing I want to apply here, the text dot strip. And again, the text dot strip. You can see the very successfully I have fetch out the data from the website, all the job. It is the first job and it is the second job. So I have successfully fetch out the data. And it depend on us if I want to sort out this data. So I want to fetch out only the job name, the title. So now you can click here and you can ready the one more empty list to store the data. And now you can hold the data like title, et and text history. Now all the data is stored into the data. So now if I want to add this data, this heading like the all job heading, this into this list. So we can add data with the help of append dot append and we can pass the data. So when I have successfully add all the data from this list, so outside the indentation we can print. You can see I have successfully ready the list. So from this website, I have completely fetched all the information to my Python. All the jobs are there. And now we know very well if we want to uh, ready this data title data into the data frame. So we can use the panda. So import pandas as PD and df. We know very well the PD dot data frame and we can pass the data like data file and the df. So all the jobs I have successfully ready the data frame and it depend on you. So if you want to group by the data, so df dot group by and the column name is still not set, we can set later. Dot sum. Still is say the problem like you have not set the column. Okay, not a problem. Like if the column name is not set, so I will try to set the column no, name here, like columns and job name. You can see I have successfully added with the changes of this one, the df job name. And now, but still when we want to sum the data, the group by according to this one. So what thing we want to group the data, because we have only the one column. That is the reason. If we want to fetch out the location wise, so we can also find out the location. So how many jobs are there? So still, if we want to add here like the same df dot info, so it will tell us the basic how many values are there and the summary. Describe how many unique values are there, top jobs are there, frequency 3 job each. And if we want to df dot count, so total jobs are 100. So this is the strategy we can apply it when we want to scrap the data.